Does LaPlante Real Estate offer a leasing-only service? Well, let's begin with a definition. An owner is seeking a self-service product where they are hiring a real estate agent to use the owner's lease and the owner's screening criteria to market the property, show the property, screen residents, and then administer a lease on behalf of the owner, and then that agent will receive a commission. Almost as important as the selection of the resident is how the real estate agent has been screened and vetted. Hopefully this individual owns investment property of their own and definitely require that they have a background in administering leases, screening residents, and being compliant with fair housing as well as local laws and ordinances. Keep in mind, operating a rental is much more than simply signing a paper lease. We must collect consistent rent payments, and those rent payments have to have the longevity of multiple lease renewals in order for you to be profitable. 3 years is the standard over here at LaPlante for us to have a relationship with the resident and then the tenure with the owner that is successful. What that is defined as is when you offer your property for rent, we call it renovation, but that would be the painting, the carpeting, whatever work you're doing to get that property rent ready. It then is marketed, resident moves in, that resident needs to stay for 3 cycles of lease in order for the property to go vacant and then to have new paint, some new carpet, whatever work needs to be done for the next unit turn to be cost effective for the investor. After they've received 3 years worth of revenue, that allows the cash flow to outweigh the expenditure to get the property rent ready and then the expense to release as well, and allows that investor to be confident in their method of investing, and then they can also be confident to expand their portfolio. Keep in mind, the residents' relationship, their satisfaction with the property, and their relationship with their property manager, in your case the owner if you're going to self-manage, are going to be the key defining parts of whether that resident stays in the property. Remember, if you're going to hire a real estate agent to meet the resident, establish a relationship, administer the lease and answer questions, and then disappear, there's already a deficit in that interaction. LaPlante Real Estate is an amalgamation of 16 years worth of our teams and our procedures. We have a 162-page handbook as of the recording of this video, and that is an evolving document that is tacitly defining what works and what doesn't work inside of our organization to be able to manage properties here. We're also honing those standards with changes in our global climate, COVID for example, as well as local state laws and then fair housing, of course. We also have separate videos that you can listen to, but we have lead paint ordinance in town. We allow payment plans for residents to prevent eviction. And then we have a water bill process to be able to bill back residents who live in single family homes and are responsible for the water bill. There is a challenge to ensure that water bill is part of the monthly rent delinquency calculation on this side. Lastly, you have to keep in mind that maintenance is an ongoing headache. It isn't as simple as simply doing all the work orders that come in. On our side, we evaluate the work that's coming in. We try to sort out if we have residents that are being hypochondriacs, if they're being excessive in the work they're requesting. Also is the work part of a resident responsible action. Mice, house flies, I saw ants on my counter, for example. And the last is, do we have a history of sink leak, where we think there's actually something larger going on that we need to get involved in. So there's thinking that goes into the maintenance process. And the other side is the vendor management. We require before and after photos from our vendors, as well as a detailed explanation of the work they did once they arrived at the property. Back onto from the resident side, it is incredibly common that when we actually get to the property, the real condition, the real problem is not as described by the resident when they made the work order. And the last is the struggle of pricing. As we have small businesses that have other opportunities, other contracts they're picking up, and as they have seasonal work that draws them into the suburbs where things pay higher and better, we have vendors that will depart from LaPlante for a period of time, typically the winter time. They'll all come back. They're all hungry and looking forward to the holidays. So we have a full vendor responsibility to keep those vendors honest, keep them transparent, and to keep their pricing in line. So there's a management that goes into that part of our amalgamation. LaPlante Real Estate does not offer a leasing-only service. We offer a single, successful property management service focused exclusively here in Toledo, Ohio. We maintain the residence and we retain the relationship with that resident for consistent rent payments and for ongoing lease renewing. That's the answer to today's FAQ. Thank you as always for your interest in LaPlante Real Estate and your investments here in Toledo, Ohio.